right. All right. So, hello everyone. I think we can start with the talk. I see more people coming in. So, okay. So, in this session, I'll talk about what's OpenSearch. Just before we start, for me to understand, how many of you have used Elasticsearch in a project? Not OpenSearch, Elasticsearch. Okay, almost half of you. That's really good. And have you heard about OpenSearch as a project? Just a few people. All right, that's good. So, first of all, who am I? My name is Martin. I come from Sofia, from Bulgaria. I'm one of the guys that helps runs the events of the Bulgarian Java user group. We also have a big community conference end of May. So if someone is interested to come to Sofia end of May, just ping me. I'll give you tickets for the conference. I'm also currently an independent consultant. Currently, I work for the European Patent Office. I do some trainings. We also started a free Java Academy in the Java community, so you can check that out as well. Some time ago I wrote a book about RabbitMQ. It's not related to today's topic, but if you're interested in that area, we can also discuss it. So in today's session, I'll speak about the OpenSearch project. First, we'll discuss what's OpenSearch about, why OpenSearch exists first of all. Why do we need another Elasticsearch? Then I'll compare OpenSearch and Elasticsearch so you can understand whether OpenSearch is a better fit for your project than traditional Elasticsearch, and we'll see how OpenSearch works in action. We'll see how to start OpenSearch and how to migrate a standard Java application that uses Elasticsearch to OpenSearch. So the OpenSearch project. In fact, it all started when Elasticsearch Kibana and Kibana license has changed from Apache 2.0 to a dual Elastic license and SSPL license. The reason for this is because Amazon was providing an Elasticsearch service, and Elastic was trying in a way to protect also their cloud Elasticsearch offering. So that's why they moved from the open source Apache 2.0 license. Amazon forked Elasticsearch as a version 7.10.2. I started working independently on this project called OpenSearch. Previously it was called Open Distro for Elasticsearch. It's in fact a fork of the open source code base of Elasticsearch. Now OpenSearch is primarily developed by Amazon, but it expects mostly contributions from the community. So in a way it tries to promote as an open source product forked from Elasticsearch, and it also implements some of the enterprise features of Elasticsearch. It provides a separate installation process. So in a way, if you already have Elasticsearch in place and you want to use some of the capabilities of OpenSearch, let's say certain plugins, you just need to move to OpenSearch entirely. So you can think of OpenSearch as a completely different product. There is no compatibility with Elasticsearch, including plugins and modules, and versioning is not related to Elasticsearch. It evolves pretty much as a different product. The majority of the features in OpenSearch, though, are an alternative to the ones provided in the licensed version of Elasticsearch. Some features like cross-cluster replication, for example, can be used only with the Amazon AWS offering. So if you want to bring up an on-premise installation of OpenSearch, let's say, you might see some limitations related to some of the features provided by OpenSearch. And all of the capabilities of OpenSearch are developed in terms of plugins. In Elasticsearch, we have some stuff developed as modules internally, and in OpenSearch, most of the things are exposed as plugins. So the core of OpenSearch is really small, and all the capabilities are developed as plugins. Now, plugins impose certain limitations, and the plugin system in OpenSearch is pretty much the same as in Elasticsearch. First, they run in the same process as OpenSearch, which means that, for example, if you install a plugin that does not work properly or it's buggy, this might break your installation. Second of all, plugins require cluster restart. So if you install a plugin, this may require that you restart the cluster so that the plugin is loaded. And also plugins are bound to a specific version of OpenSearch, pretty much as it is with Elasticsearch. So if you install a plugin, you need to make sure that the version of that plugin is the same and matches the version of OpenSearch that you use. It's exactly the same as it is with Elasticsearch. In that perspective, there is a new development that's currently in progress in OpenSearch. It's called extensions. I wanted to show it and highlight it here because that's something that's not present in Elasticsearch. The idea behind extensions is that they run as separate processes. They still extend the capabilities of OpenSearch. And they also use a transport protocol in the same manner as OpenSearch nodes used to communicate with each other. And they also may evoke actions on other extensions. The general idea behind that is that it provides more flexibility and solves the limitations that we saw on the previous slide. So now there are some plugins in OpenSearch that are being rewritten from the standard plugin way that they've been implemented to OpenSearch extensions. What about Logstash? Elasticsearch output plugin is not compatible with OpenSearch. So OpenSearch provides, in fact, a third-party output plugin for Logstash. And also, OpenSearch project ships an open source distribution of Logstash as well. Now, there is also something new as of latest versions of OpenSearch, which is called OpenSearch integrations. It's a convenient way that you can put certain integrations through the OpenSearch dashboards UI. OpenSearch dashboards is the equivalent of Kibana. It's a fork of Kibana, but it's called OpenSearch dashboards. And it provides a convenient feature where you can put and create different data sources in the OpenSearch integrations dashboard. You can think of that as an alternative to Logstash to ingest data in OpenSearch. And it's in a way a bit more convenient because you don't need to bring up Logstash to do that. You can do that from the OpenSearch dashboards UI. It's still an early stage of development. They provide a showcase for example, collecting data from Nginx, but there will be more integrations available in OpenSearch. Now, if you want to integrate with OpenSearch, OpenSearch provides different language clients similar to Elasticsearch. And as you might guess, all of those language clients have been copied and modified from the Elasticsearch ones. Documentation of the clients, however, is really scarce and does not have many examples. I think this is one of the drawbacks here is that if you use OpenSearch, although it has quite a good documentation, it's still not enough in terms of examples. It's not as rich as the Elasticsearch documentation. In terms of, for example, Spring Framework, there is a third-party project, Spring Data OpenSearch. The integration with Spring Framework with Elasticsearch called Spring Data Elasticsearch is developed from under the Spring hood. However, for OpenSearch, it's a third-party project developed by the OpenSearch community. So OpenSearch provides integration with Spring Data Framework in terms of that project. And we'll see in a few minutes how it works. Now, if you want to compare traditional Elasticsearch with OpenSearch, and based on that maybe decide whether OpenSearch is a good way to go with our project. Now, typically, if you have already an Elasticsearch installation in place, like many companies do, you highly likely won't consider moving or risking to move to a project like OpenSearch, even though some of the features are free, the equivalent of some of the features, especially some of the security features in Elasticsearch that have been re-implemented in OpenSearch. But still, if you develop a new project and for some reason you cannot or you don't want to have license for Elasticsearch, but you still need some of those enterprise features, you can consider OpenSearch, because the majority of capabilities between OpenSearch and Elasticsearch is the same, because OpenSearch is forked in quite a late version of Elasticsearch. Now, if we want to compare the two products, we need to consider different criteria. This criteria is licensing and subscription, support, documentation, architecture. We already saw some differences between OpenSearch and Elasticsearch. Naming convention, versioning, migration options, roadmap, and contributions. Now, let's have a quick look at those. In terms of licensing and subscription, as we already mentioned, Elasticsearch has a more restrictive license for service providers. So if you're a service provider that is willing to provide Elasticsearch as a service, and you want to do that with later versions of Elasticsearch after 7.11, you need to carefully consider the Elasticsearch license that's in place. Otherwise, you may consider bringing up OpenSearch as a service. There is a subscription-based model for enterprise Elasticsearch features and no subscription model for OpenSearch. So you can use OpenSearch to the Amazon offering, or you can bring your own on-premise cluster with OpenSearch, or you can even bring your own service. You can expose a service for OpenSearch. However, there are, as I mentioned earlier, certain limitations of some features that are really bound to the Amazon offering, like cross-cluster replication. There are not many of those features are like that, so you can still use OpenSearch without, with most of its features without limitation. In terms of support, Elasticsearch provides official support options per the subscription plan that you get. However, for OpenSearch, there is no official support, just for the Amazon offering. So if you want to have some kind of support for OpenSearch and you use it, you mostly have to count on public forum of OpenSearch or some other discussion boards of OpenSearch. So there is no like official support. In terms of documentation, if you use Elasticsearch, you've noticed that documentation is quite extensive and provides some extras, like for example, you can copy the example and paste it directly in Elasticsearch. These capabilities are missing from the OpenSearch documentation. However, it's also not so well organized, I tend to say. So if you go, you can see that it's not structured so well. It's still quite rich, but it's not at the level of documentation of Elasticsearch. In terms of architecture, as you might guess, since it's a forked product, many of the capabilities are the same. However, as I mentioned earlier, some features are implemented as plugins, but these plugins are being migrated to extensions, some of them. And also OpenSearch provides developer SDK that you can use to build plugins and extensions. I think that's one thing that's missing from Elasticsearch. There is no clear and open documentation on how to develop Elasticsearch plugins. You can pretty much use a third-party plugin to see how you can implement something as a plugin if you need to in Elasticsearch, but there is no official SDK or documentation. While OpenSearch tries to make that more open for developers. In terms of naming conventions, because one product forked the other, some things have been renamed. So, for example, the main configuration file of OpenSearch is called OpenSearch YAML. Has the same structure as the main configuration file of Elasticsearch. Some features have been renamed. For example, index lifecycle management is called index state management in OpenSearch. So, in fact, you can see certain things being renamed, but they in fact refer to the exact same thing. In terms of versioning, the two products are not related. So since OpenSearch forked Elasticsearch as a version 7.10, it started rolling out different versions. Latest one is 2.9.0. Elasticsearch, of course, continued its regular versioning path. So you cannot really correlate the two. In terms of migration, OpenSearch provides an official documentation guide on how you can migrate from Elasticsearch if you want to. It even provides a tool that can support you in the process of migration. It's pretty much a script that guides you to the process of migration, but it also requires some manual work. Elasticsearch, however, it doesn't provide, it's not of interest for Elasticsearch to provide a guide on how to migrate from OpenSearch to Elasticsearch, because it's less likely that someone already using OpenSearch for some reason may want to migrate to Elasticsearch. If they want to, they can do it, but it's not of interest to Elasticsearch to provide such a migration path. In terms of roadmap, Elasticsearch roadmap is not exposed publicly. They announce in some blogs what are the new features coming in. They create video blogs. In OpenSearch, the roadmap is publicly available. You can just go to GitHub and check it. Can we maybe share the full screen, not only the presentation? Let me check. Okay, let's try now. Okay, maybe something happens if I switch from full mode in PowerPoint, but this is the in GitHub you can go to OpenSearch project and you can see currently the version that's been launched is 2.9.0 of OpenSearch, and for each subsequent version there is a clear roadmap, so you can see what's being currently actively developed. All right, and in terms of contributions, OpenSearch seems to depend more on community contributions. Elasticsearch continues to be developed as a company product, with contributions merged by the core team. So you cannot simply create something in Elasticsearch and contribute it. It needs to be merged by someone from the core Elasticsearch team. And Elasticsearch invests more in certain areas related to performance improvements. Okay, let's see now how OpenSearch works in action. So you can just go to opensearch.org and download the distribution of OpenSearch and OpenSearch dashboards, which I mentioned earlier is the equivalent of Kibana. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to simply so OpenSearch, you need to navigate to the folder where you've unzipped it, and you can think that you can start it in the same way as Elasticsearch. You can just go and say bin OpenSearch but, for example, to start up OpenSearch. If you do that the first time, you'll get an error because OpenSearch requires some preliminary setup, how to create certificates and so on. If you start Elasticsearch in latest versions of Elasticsearch after 8, you notice that there is security built in by default. So when you start Elasticsearch in Kibana, you get certain keys generated that you can use. In OpenSearch, it's not like that. It generates some default configuration. And if you want to replace some of the certificates, you just go to the target directory and modify them. So I've already executed this script called OpenSearch Windows install. And when you do that, you can just start OpenSearch in the regular manner as Elasticsearch. I can just say bin OpenSearch, but it takes like a few seconds to start up. And for OpenSearch dashboards, which is Kibana for OpenSearch, I can also start it in the same way as I do with Kibana. I can just say bin OpenSearch dashboards, but when this starts up, it pretty much by default uses the same ports as Elasticsearch. For OpenSearch dashboards, that's 5601. So now if I need to wait a bit for when OpenSearch started. I can just go to localhost 9200. I still need to wait for the service to start. Okay, by default, OpenSearch uses admin as a username and password. You can see the version is 2.9.0. You get the same responses with Elasticsearch, but here you get the version of OpenSearch. It says minimum WAR compatibility. Here it specifies the version of Elasticsearch, last version of Elasticsearch that's compatible with OpenSearch. That's pretty much the version from which OpenSearch was forked. Now if I go to 5601, I need to wait for dashboards to become available. So you can see it's loading OpenSearch dashboards. The UI is redesigned, but it's effectively Kibana. So here I put admin. When you open OpenSearch dashboards, the first thing that makes an impression is that it's pretty much Kibana, but redesigned a bit differently with a different user experience. You also, as developers, one of the things that you highly likely use most of the time is the developer console. I've already pre-created one index called order data. It's, let me do a simple search query. This order data index, let's say, stores some documents related to orders. Let's say you're a company, you want to store some orders related to, let's say, laptops. So let me do a quick search query, a match all query. I have some records here. For example, I have an order for an Alienware laptop. I have some other orders. So the first thing that makes an impression is that OpenSearch dashboards is pretty much the same thing as Kibana, but redesigned a bit differently. It also has a bit more capabilities, but pretty much the main things like dashboards, visualizations, and everything is available here. You have some other things developed that I mentioned earlier, like OpenSearch integrations. So in a way, OpenSearch dashboards also evolves as a separate product as OpenSearch. Now, what you can do if you don't want to install OpenSearch but just give it a try, there is also a playground called Playground OpenSearch.org. You can open it. It's like a public instance of OpenSearch that you can go, and you can also play around with OpenSearch. All the projects of OpenSearch are in GitHub, so you can just go and if you're interested in some particular plugin in OpenSearch, you can just go and take a look. So the OpenSearch project has quite a lot of repositories, like more than 100 repositories. Most of them are different plugins that implement the different capabilities of OpenSearch. Alright, so now what you can do also with OpenSearch. So, for example, if you want to install plugins for OpenSearch, they are pretty much the same utilities provided for OpenSearch like for Elasticsearch. So you can go to the distribution of OpenSearch, and you can list the currently installed plugins. You can say bin OpenSearch plugin bat list. So the OpenSearch plugin bat utility is pretty much the equivalent, as you might guess, to Elasticsearch plugin utility that allows you to manage plugins. You can also install plugins in the same way as with Elasticsearch, let's say from the file system, using a name that's a label that's recognized by OpenSearch. Let's say, for example, I can say OpenSearch plugin install repository S3. For example, I want to install a plugin related to S3 repository. It installs the plugin. It downloads it from the official OpenSearch distribution site. I'm not going to install this for now, but you can also install plugins from, let's say, a Maven repository, from the file system, and so on and so forth. Also, one nice utility provided by OpenSearch is the OpenSearch command line interface. You just have to download it as a separate tool from the OpenSearch site. So I already have OpenSearch CLI downloaded. The way it works is that is a bit similar to kubectl. How many of you use Kubernetes and kubectl? Okay, half of you, almost. So in a way it works with that you have to create a YAML file with different profiles, and these profiles point to different instances of OpenSearch. Let's say you might have an instance for local development, you might have a production instance, a testing environment instance, and so on and so forth. So you can list all of those instances in a YAML file. It should be in the user directory in .opensearch CLI. I have a config YAML file, which looks like that. So I have one profile called local, which points to my to a local instance of OpenSearch that I've started, and I also have a demo profile which points to the playground, let's say, of OpenSearch. So I have those two profiles. I can list the profiles. So, for example, I can say something like OpenSearch CLI profiles. I need to specify the configuration file here. So I can say profile list -c, and I can specify that configuration file. It's config YAML. And as you can see, I have the two profiles listed, local and demo. Now I can use some of any of those profiles to do some operation against Elasticsearch. For example, I can say OpenSearch CLI curl get minus path. Let's say I want to get the definition of the order data index, like that. I need to specify the profile minus p local and the configuration file with the profiles, which is this one. Okay, if I don't have a mistake, I can see that I get from my local instance the definition of the order data index. So it's a useful utility if you need to work simultaneously with multiple instances of OpenSearch. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you a project that has a few examples that use the official Elasticsearch Java clients, the low-level and high-level REST client, and also Spring Data Elasticsearch. I'll see how that interacts with Elasticsearch, and then how we can migrate that project and how difficult it is to use OpenSearch. For the purpose, I'm going to stop OpenSearch here. I'm stopping OpenSearch dashboards. And I'm going to start Elasticsearch. So I'm going to run Elasticsearch 880. All right. And I'm also going to start Kibana. I'm going to run bin Kibana bot and bin Elasticsearch bot. It takes like a few seconds to start up Elasticsearch and Kibana. While this starts up, I'm going to the ID. So first thing is the high-level REST client. So if you have an application that interacts with Elasticsearch, highly likely use either one of the Java clients for Elasticsearch or Spring Data integration with Elasticsearch. I'm sorry, this cable is playing some tricks. I need to put it again. I don't think it's... I think it's just freezing. Wait, let's wait a few seconds if I can. Okay, maybe there is something related to resolution. I'll try to show you the things. I think it might be related to resolution. Let's try like this. I think we have some kind of an issue with the HDMI. me try something else, and then is there a way we can share the full screen, not only the presentation? Yes, I have to show my ID because it seems that it's not working. I mean, see, it's not showing anything. It's like just sharing the presentation. Okay, seems like we have some technical issue here, but all right, I'll describe the steps. It's not something really complex. We'll see how we can share the example after the session. So what we need to have is to include in the POM XML file the official clients of Elasticsearch. So we have the high level and the rest low level client. The high-level client for Elasticsearch provides a convenient domain-specific language, Java domain-specific language, that allows you to do different kinds of things like index documents or query documents and so on and so forth. The low-level client, in fact, runs the queries for Elasticsearch like you would do in Kibana or OpenSearch dashboards. For OpenSearch, we have a client that's bound to the particular version of OpenSearch, which is 2.9.0. So in fact, the migration path is the following. You just go to the POM XML file, you remove the dependencies for Elasticsearch, and you put the ones for OpenSearch. Then you go to the places in your application where you use the low-level and the high-level REST clients. You just replace the package name from Elasticsearch to OpenSearch. So in a way, as the clients are pretty much copied, you just need to modify the imports. And also in terms of configuration, you need to, in the code, we specify the username and the fingerprint for the CA. So if you want to use OpenSearch, you need to generate the CA from the installation directory of OpenSearch. Let me see if I can show you here. So you go to OpenSearch installation directory. And you go to config folder. You have here by default things like root CA PEM file and ESNode PEM file. Then you can use a utility like OpenSSL to get the fingerprint related to that CA certificate that's generated by OpenSearch, and this fingerprint is pretty much the same one as the one that Elasticsearch generates for you when you start Elasticsearch, if you use version 8.0. It generates on the console this fingerprint, and when you start up Kibana, you need to use that fingerprint to connect to Elasticsearch. So you can use that fingerprint and replace the one of Elasticsearch with this one. And that's pretty much it. The rest of the logic in the high level and the low level REST clients is pretty much the same. So you don't need to refactor pretty much anything on the client side. So it's just a matter of changing the dependencies and modifying a bit the imports and also the security configuration. And then if you want to use Spring Data OpenSearch, what you can do, you can just remove the dependency for Spring Data Elasticsearch and use the one for Spring Data OpenSearch, and use exactly the same configuration as that you already have. So in a way, as you can see, for the majority of scenarios, it's quite trivial to migrate from Elasticsearch to OpenSearch. However, if you have, let's say, a more complex project that uses some features that are, for example, implemented after version 7.11 of Elasticsearch, like cross-cluster replication, or you use security, for example, you have some third-party plugins for Elasticsearch that enable you to implement security, then it can be way more difficult to migrate to OpenSearch because it may require that you replace a certain plugin and you use the equivalent in OpenSearch, which is more work. But if you have a fairly standard setup, you can simply go with this simple approach, let's say, refactoring approach. Alright, since I couldn't show you the full demo, you can check out the examples. I'll see how we can distribute them, but if you have any questions, just we can discuss them. Now, the main thing about OpenSearch is that you can think, okay, should I go with OpenSearch or still use Elasticsearch? Probably you've already realized that Elasticsearch is the official product being developed for years now. And it's already Elastic as a company has the expertise to continue to develop Elasticsearch continuously. With OpenSearch, the future is not so clear yet. Although they have a roadmap, they still tend to depend most on community contributions. If you want to have, let's say, some kind of support that we already mentioned, it's not certain that you can get that in any way. So OpenSearch might be really good if you build a small product that needs enterprise search capabilities and at the same time leverages all the major capabilities of Elasticsearch. But if you're a big company, let's say if you have a big customer, let's say you work for a bank or financial institutions, they are pretty much a subject of compliance requirements. So in those requirements, they say that the product needs to have like some official support, certain terms of SLA, and so on and so forth. If you go with OpenSearch, you don't have that. So in a way, you can even find it impossible in that kind of environment to go with OpenSearch. So be careful in that sense. So I tend to say that OpenSearch is a good alternative for Elasticsearch, but it's still, if you need really the enterprise features of Elasticsearch, just find a way to get the Elasticsearch license. All right, I think that's for today's sessions. Do you have any questions on OpenSearch or Elasticsearch? No? All right. Okay, so thank you for attention then.